a moment. Let's go to Willie first. He says Bronny is G League bound.
Well, the agent says we're not taking a G League contract. The agent's trying to force a guaranteed contract, even if he's taken in the second round. That historically has not been the way the NBA has worked. I think the kid should have come back to USC, and he should have played for Musselman and had another banner year. I mean, there's no doubt that he's an explosive, great athlete. But the fact was he was an 18-year-old freshman and averaged 4 points a game, lost his starting job at USC. And I get tired of this whole legacy thing. My kid's going to the Ivy League because I was in the Ivy League, and he gets in the front door whether he's got no grades or lots of grades. This is a little bit of LeBron and the legacy thing. It'll be interesting to see where he's drafted. ESPN, which does a phenomenal job slotting players, has him 54th. There's only 60 picks in the draft. The draft is only 2 rounds long, and second-round picks don't get guaranteed contract, though the agent is trying to change that. And John Riley says,
well, is he 54 in their slot because that's where the Lakers are picking? Because I can't imagine any other team picking him. And by the way, when I've looked at these mock drafts, I don't see Jaden Ledee's name anywhere. Yeah. And how in the heck could Bronny be taken over Ledee? That doesn't make any sense.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Period, exclamation point. Next question.
Okay, let's go here. We'll get Angel involved. He says, Negro League deserved to be in Cooperstown.
Here.
And as for the records, I would keep it separate. One for the majors and one for Negro League, just like they do with the AL and the NL.
Well, except the AL, NL composite records, all-time batting average career, all-time single season, those are records for both leagues. But these records are so skewed. And I wrote a column today. Read my one man's opinion column. I'm getting reaction from baseball people about what I wrote. Some don't agree with me. Others say, we should consider that. Go to my website. Just read my one man's opinion column. If you subscribe, you'll get that emailed to you immediately. I'd like to see separate, but then again, we get into this freaking thing, separate but equal, AKA integration. It's a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, separate but equal, we fought wars against that. We've had huge groundbreaking legislation in America to overcome that. So Major League Baseball shouldn't have separate categories. They should all be part of one, but just tell the full story. And I think then it's explained and it's within the proper context. But no doubt, this is a tricky time with woke and political correctness and trying to do the right thing. You said maybe MLB did this out of guilt. I'm sure that's some of it for rightful reasons. But on the other hand, I mean, they have to recognize these stars who I think could have been stars in Major League Baseball in the 30s and 40s.
I have no problem with the stars being in the Hall of Fame. What they should do in the records section, just put all the Negro League stats, all the unbelievable statistics on one side, and on the other side, put the Ty Cobbs and the Ted Williams statistics, and we can watch and we can compare, and then we could argue about.
Well, now you're doing the separate but equal thing.
I know, but there's. I'm sorry, the games that were played against the touring Jewish team, the House of David amateurs, and I've seen pictures of them. It was great. And it was great for baseball to sell baseball, but those were exhibitions. You're not having the Yankees game against the Richmond team in the International League, having those stats count.
Well, who wins a game, the House of David or the House of John Fisher?
Oh. Next topic on the table. Thanks, Angel.
All right, let's go down here to David. And he says, is Lincoln Riley on the hot seat at USC if they don't make the playoffs?
Oh, they've recruited very well. Thank you, transfer portal. They stumbled upon that starting quarterback Miller Moss at the end of the season. He will be the starter opening day. They picked up transfer running backs, transfer wide receivers. There's another wave of guys from the portal. I think Lincoln's going to be good. Obviously, they changed defensive coordinators. It's going to be a very, very different team. Now, he's lost a ton of players. He lost players in the portal. He's lost players to the National Football League. I don't think he's in hot water. I think what he is on the hot seat because of who they're going to play and how much travel. They have to travel 21,000 miles in 11 weeks to play in the Big Ten. And I'll tell you, I am so sick and so upset about the demise of the Pac-12 and what USC and UCLA did. And I don't know any USC fans that I've crossed paths with that think this is really good. And this is really good for the athletes. And it's really fair to all the other athletes because everybody else is going to be traveling to Maryland and Rutgers to play baseball and lacrosse and wrestling and all that. So I just think this is going to be an aberration of a football season. And I think USC and UCLA are going to have a really tough time because they lost a lot of players. And obviously at UCLA, they have a new coach. And yeah, you can be excited about, we're going to play Michigan and Ohio State, but you're not going to play them every year. And they're not coming in your building every year. And you're going to have to go play at Purdue, and you got to go play at freaking Rutgers. I just don't think this is going to work out the way everybody envisioned it.
Well, of course, Michigan and Ohio State are the cream of the crop in the Big Ten. But when SC goes into the Big Ten, you would think that they would be at minimum a third or a fourth place team in that conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if everything's going well, maybe one or two. And then UCLA maybe midway through the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's a different type conference. But then again, if Lincoln Riley's got throwers and catchers and runners and that wild offense, maybe they'll ambush some people along the way. But that's a lot of travel, 21,000 miles in 10 or 11 weeks.
And then here teams are cutting back their expenses, because or trying to when they have to just blow all this airplane money. Okay, let's move on to Callan. And he says, hey, these NHL playoffs have been remarkable. Which team is feeling the more pressure in their series?
I would have to think the Edmonton Oilers pressure is abominable, because they've been there with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl the last couple of years and didn't get there because they got shaky goaltending. And what's happened in this past week, that goaltender who had a good second season, Stuart Skinner, has gotten shaky again. I've not seen a goaltender let in as many bad angle goals as Stuart Skinner's let in the last two series for the Edmonton Oilers. And the pressure on them is just freaking unbelievable because they've got a generational player in McDavid and a great European player in Draisaitl, and they've worked really hard to put support talent around them, and they're still scuffling. Now, they did come back. They were in a big hole last night against Dallas. They were down 2-0 with a snap of the fingers on home ice, and I thought the fans were going to just boo them off the ice, and instead they came back. They scored 2 goals, and then they exploded in the third period. I think the pressure on Edmonton is much greater than the pressure on the Dallas Stars. And obviously, the New York Ranger Florida Panthers series is kind of a war of attrition because they both got lots of goal scorers and they both grind on you and they beat on you, etc. So, and the playoffs are setting records for TV. And that's a byproduct now with all the different networks that we have. John and I laugh about, you got 26 channels that I wouldn't spend any time looking at.
We have too many.
But they're using 4 different networks, and they have an all-time record TV rating for each of the rounds of the playoffs. So the NHL's become a go-to thing to see. And if you look in the stands, see how many young people are at NHL games. I mean, there's a lot of really young hockey fans that are showing up buying these tickets that have bought into the sport. So NHL right now, the arrow is pointed up, but I think Edmonton's the one that's carrying the weight of the globe on their shoulder, definitely the weight of Canada.
Well, that series is tied 2-2. So in the 3 remaining games, does Dallas have home field or home ice advantage?
Yes. Dallas hosts them next. Next game then goes to Edmonton, and if they have to go to 7, it goes back to Dallas.
Yeah.
But see, Edmonton has won in Dallas. They've proven themselves, but the goaltending is really erratic for the Oilers.
Well, to your other point about the TV ratings up and the young people in the stands, I just love seeing the women get really fired up, when there's a big play or somebody gets checked or, there's a fight. It's fantastic how this sport is just really fires people up.
One of the coolest things Edmonton does, if they go back to Edmonton, they play the home game, they sing "O Canada," but they put the guy singing it in the middle of the stands, surrounded with everybody wearing every type of Oiler jersey there is.
Oh, nice.
And he starts and he sings, "Oh, Canada." And then the fans take over the rest of the hymn.
Beautiful.
It is really, really cool. Okay, we move on. Next question. Thank you, the O Canada Network.
Let's go here to John. He says, I'm guessing that there won't be any PGA events in Louisville for a while.
Well, I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think this was an isolated tragedy and Scheffler got bought up into it. I just have a hard time believing. You might be doing this podcast if I told a police officer I'm not pulling over. You'd be in here doing his anchor's chair because they treat Hacksaw different than they treated Scotty Scheffler. It was complicated. There should have been some type of traffic charge, but it's been dropped.
Well, if it was you get Hacksaw privilege, right? So they say, Hacksaw, come on in,
Yeah, give me your car keys.
Yeah.
Sit in the back seat.
Yeah, they're going to be. They have a nice rotation going on over there. They'll be back in Louisville. Yeah, how do you say it? It's not Louisville. It's Louisville.
Louisville. Thanks, John. Next question. Fans
Okay,
Forum.
let's go to Fans Forum. Yeah, and we got a bunch of guys here that want to get involved. Here, this is a good one, and this is from Jen, your Realtor Pro. She says, I can't believe the Padres opted to wear those hideous uniforms against the iconic Yankee uniform. So embarrassing.
Oh, you're talking about City Correct. I think they're kind of snazzy. When they first came out, I said, oh, there's a softball game on TV. But it kind of grew on me. And obviously the color scheme works. And I will tell you, the City Connect uniforms the Padres have are better than probably most of the other uniforms. There's some that are full color, like the White Sox, full color black. You know, it looks like you're going to a funeral. Well, White Sox baseball is a funeral this year. But, the ones that are all the solid colors, I don't like at all. The Angels have kind of a unique script on theirs, although I think theirs look kind of funky. I didn't like the Dodger one, but if you could come up with an alternate logo that kind of grabs you, Arizona's got the colors and it got a cactus. It's kind of cool. You need to develop something. Washington Nationals, just don't put WA on the front. Do something with a silhouette of the state capitol or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh's got PGH. Come on, do something with the pirate.
Yeah.
There's lots of creative things they could have done with the City Connect, but I think the Padres, they have the most color. Although, I guess you don't like lime sherbet, so you wouldn't like the color of the uniforms.
Well, when you see them for the first time, your jaw is on the floor. Like, what the heck is this? But when the Padres rolled it out, they had that video, and you could see how they came up with the idea, because it's a lot of the Baja California influences and the color schemes that are popular there. And once I understood the whole picture, I went, oh, this is a home run. This is a great thing.
It's like the Giants are orange and white. Mm-hmm. But the Giants have the Bay Bridge silhouette.
The Golden Gate Bridge.
Golden Gate Bridge, whatever it is. That signifies San Francisco. It's kind of cool.
It is. That's a nice. Well, I don't like the gradient where the numbers and the names, like, it fades from orange to white. That's not good. But it's just weird against the Yankees, because that's the classic uniform that has never changed in millennia. And the Yankee uniform, by the way, it's kind of cool how they don't put the names on the back of the jerseys at home, but they do on the road, right? No, not even on the road.
Not on the road.
Well, the Giants do it on the road, but not at home. And so just little nuances like that, I think, are cool with the uniforms.
Yes. So we got Jenny here is kind of really angered that the Yankee uniform is polar opposite to the City Connect Padre uniform. Yeah, I get it, but I do like the Padre uniforms. Okay, next question.
Okay, let's go here to Plum Wine. Talking about Bill Walton. It says, Bill was the best basketball player I have ever seen when he was healthy. He was also unselfishly the best passer. His 60-0 win team's run was the best experience as a Bruin I could ever imagine. Rest in peace, my friend. Signed, Jerry.
Cool guy. He was, as John and I talked off the air, and we text back and forth because he doesn't have any friends and I don't have any friends. He was eclectic. He was eccentric. He was electric. And he was such a well-meaning person. I wrote a column yesterday with some of the national quotes that I had dug up of what people said about Bill Walton. They're just fabulous, how he was just universally respected, even though he was off tangent all the time. And you liked him because you got tie-dye T-shirts and all that too. So good man, really good man. A couple social media shots you want to get in here?
Well, yeah, but I just want to make a comment on Bill Walton. I've been watching a lot of the video highlights, and the passing by him is remarkable. Yeah. I mean, the way he dishes the ball, because usually big man gets the ball in the paint, and they just, it's just one-on-one, and they're going to go to the hoop.
His whole thing was passing, defense, and rebounding. I don't think he really cared about scoring. Although in that NCAA tournament game against Memphis, he went 21 for 22 shooting the basketball.
Amazing.
He was an amazing person.
Okay, let's go here. Let's talk a little Lakers basketball. This is from Damio Francisco. 17 championships. I don't blame the franchise. I don't blame AD, but LeBron has issues. Ham had issues. Pelinka is a marginal GM. Hasn't been the same in La La Land since the logo said goodbye. Only one team can be the champ. 29 losers every season. It's basketball at the end of the day.
If I take my pen and I sign my name to that memo, would I screw up the computer? Hey, I signed that memo. I concur with you. Laker basketball, championship banners, that era, West Baylor, Chamberlain, that era, Wilt, that era, Magic, that era, Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, that era's in the rearview mirror. The Lakers have become a mediocre franchise where suddenly being a play-in team, finishing 8th or ninth that's good. Mediocrity. They need to fix it. They need to get it right. And I think there's so many unbelievable qualities to LeBron, but LeBron can't be player-general manager and have input. I'm not even sure Pelinka should continue to be the general manager. I'm sorry. I'm not even sure Jeannie Buss should be the owner, because look at what Jeannie Buss has allowed the franchise to become. That's one man's opinion sitting out here. I guess I'm doing the show from left field now.
Yeah, or somewhere up in the nosebleed seats at crypto.com arena. The Lakers, there's a different standard, in terms of what the fans and the media expect from them. Is that fair or is that unfair?
They built it and they won with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've gotten away from it. You got to get back to it. Clippers have never been to the NBA Western Finals. They don't have any real banners to hang up in their new building. And that ownership has tried really hard and made some good calls and been cursed because of a lot of injuries. So it's just hard for me to understand why there's not been an open revolt from fans in Los Angeles towards Laker basketball. Is Laker basketball, Dodger baseball, the two most important things on the radar in Los Angeles?
Do you think the Lakers are kind of falling into the trap of the Raiders, always going for the shiny object, AD, LeBron, rather than trying to, draft players and kind of build from within?
You have to have stars. Everybody had two, then all of a sudden everybody tried to get a third. In some cases, it's worked. Lakers have had two, but just have not been able to grow beyond that. And they've tried every conceivable way, through first-round draft picks, through street free agents, through veteran stars in the twilight of their career. I mean, Rob Pelinka has dragged 33 players in there in 4 years, John. And instead, you and I are talking about the spring of play-in game.
They were in the West Finals not too long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get another comment here. More about Padres. This is from JF Lopez. Says, so you're going to quote some clown reporter, talking about Soto, in the New Jersey Reporter. What is Soto supposed to say? I had a terrible time here. You have two problems in San Diego, and that's Tatis and Machado.
Well, Tatis is not the player he was. Manny right now is scuffling. I think it's a byproduct of the elbow injury. And now they got some issues with injuries to both Yu Darvish and Musgrove. So it's not a team that's hitting on 100%. My only problem is Soto is Mr. Me, Myself, and I. That's all he cared about. Now, I understand you got to be a selfish player to be a superstar player. And there was probably a little bit of selfishness as it relates to Tony Gwynn, but he was a great citizen. And I found when I've dealt with Soto in that clubhouse, I thought he was standoffish. I thought he was boorish. I thought all the words coming out of his mouth was nothing more than what Scott Boras would say. So I just have a hard time treating him as a hero, because the price they paid to get him, he played so poorly in 2022. And his first 2.5 months were god-awful in 2023. And all of a sudden he started to hit and he started to produce, and they wound up having to trade him just because they can't afford to keep him because of the agent's going to drive the price. So I just can't buy everything. Good luck to him. I'll be interested to see if he winds up as a Yankee, at what price, if he winds up across the hallway with the Mets, who have enormous problems right now. But that's the end game of Scott Boras, is to take him to free agency November 1st and play the prices right. Now, it doesn't always work out. Ask his team, the Giants, and Blake Snell, who now 5 starts into his mega career, has a 10.52 ERA and can't get out of the 4th inning.
That is a disaster in San Francisco. But, since, we released this video of Juan Soto, Mr. Me, Myself, and I, it just exploded on Instagram. Like, it's got like about 15,000 views in less than 24 hours. And the funny thing is that picture of him, Mr. Me, Myself, and I, and he's wearing a Juan Soto shirt, a picture of him on his shirt, which is crazy. But yeah, Machado and Tatis are disappointing. I think they're not trying. I think maybe they're trying too hard, especially Tatis.
I think they're a fatigued baseball team. They play a lot of innings. I mean, those 4 established or 5 established guys are just taking a lot of at-bats in the field all the time. So, maybe the Padres need to make a concerted effort to give these guys a blow, let them rotate through DH, get them off their feet a little bit defensively. But it's just not the same group of players. And those guys are making so much money. They can't be moved anywhere, and there's no money left to use to go get anybody else that might plug it in.
Well, I mean, they have this June schedule looks achievable. I mean, you got the Angels, you got the Royals, who are, granted, they're good. They got some good pitching, former Padres, but it's not the Yankees in June.
Yeah, but it is Philadelphia.
Okay, Philly's coming, or we're going there either way. But the Padres just need to win like 5 or 6 in a row, and if they can do that, they're going to be in a nice spot. This is the month to do it, June.
Yeah, I don't want you texting me about them losing to the Rockies in Miami and screaming on my cell phone about why the hell this is happening. Hey, listen, we hope you have